Pharmacology of insulin. So already you are familiar with the insulin, I think. So it is the hormone. It is helpful for the management of the diabetes mellitus. Especially it is used for the treatment of the diabetes mellitus type 1, that is insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So now we can learn regarding the introduction to the pancreatic gland. So already you know regarding the human anatomy and physiology of the pancreatic gland. So pancreatic gland is also one of the endocrine gland as well as the exocrine gland. So exocrine part, it can secrete the various enzymes. So those are required for the digestions of the food in the small intestines. Okay, and endocrine part, so it consists of the tiny-like cluster cells around more than 1.3 millions. Or tiny-like cluster cells are present. So those here they are present here. So those tiny cluster cells, so they group together. So no, they are known as the isolates of the Langerhans. So these isolates of Langerhans, so they are consist of the cluster of tiny cells. So they are mainly categorized into four types. That is alpha cell. It is around 15% of these cells present in the isolates. So those are the alpha cells, and remaining around 85%. Okay, so those cells are, so they are the beta cells, and remaining 5 to 10%, so those are the delta cells and F cells. So these are the four main type of cells. So those are present in the pancreatic gland. So these are involved in the secretions of the various endocrine hormones. So alpha cells, it mainly secretes one hormone. So that hormone is known as the glucagon. So this glucagon is secreted from the alpha cell. So when our blood sugar level is less than normal, and the sugar or carbohydrates, so they are required for to continuously to supply the ATP to the organs or tissue. So without ATP, without energy, the tissue cannot be survive. Okay, so that when our blood sugar level is decreases due to any conditions or fasting, or when you are not take any diet due to fasting, so on that time, or we can work out more than the normals. Okay, we are vigorously doing the exercise more than the normal time or regular time. So on that time the muscles are utilized the more ATP during the vigorous exercise, then automatically the blood sugar level is decreases less than normal. So on that time, so these pancreatic cells are alpha cells, they secrete the hormone, that is the glucagon. So this glucagon is helpful for to increase the decreased blood sugar level. So that's why glucagon is play important role in the to enhance the blood sugar level when it is required for the body. If its function is abnormal, or abnormally glucagon is secreted from the body or from the alpha cells, then we are suffering from the diabetes mellitus. So this glucagon, it mainly acts on the liver, where it can enhance the breakdown of the glycogen into glucose. Okay, the glycogen is the excess store of the glucose in our body that can stored in the adipose tissues, that can be stored in the liver. So when our blood sugar level is less than normal, the glucagon is released. So that glucagon acts on the adipose tissues or acts on the liver, where it can enhance the breakdown of the glycogen into glucose. So like that, the glucagon, it is involved in the regulations of the blood sugar level. If the glycogen was empty or finished, so on that time the same glucagon in the same site, it can enhance the gluconeogenesis, that is the synthesis of the glucose from non-carbohydrate source by utilizations of the amino acids or utilizations of the free fatty acids. It means the fat or protein, so those are also involved in the synthesis of the glucose when the body will be having the starvation or deficiency of the glucose. So that condition in our body is known as the gluconeogenesis. If the gluconeogenesis is abnormal, or any drug or any chemical, if they are induces the gluconeogenesis, then also we are suffering from the high sugar level or diabetes mellitus. And remaining 85% of the cells of the isolates of Langerhans, so those are the beta cells. So beta cells, it is one of the most important cell. It is involved in the secretion of the insulin. So insulin, so when our blood sugar level is more than the normal, okay, due to any consumptions of the excess of carbohydrates or any other problems, so when our blood sugar level is more than normal, then so these isolates of Langerhans, that the beta cells, instead of glucagon by alpha cells, the pancreatic gland, it can secrete the insulin, and this insulin, it is helpful for to decrease the elevated sugar level. So like that, these are the two hormones in our body, so they are involved in the regulations of the blood sugar level continuously. So when sugar level is more than normal, insulin is released. When sugar level is less than normal, then glucagon is released. So like that, the pancreatic gland or endocrine part of the pancreatic gland, it is involved in the regulations of the blood sugar level. If any problem in pancreatic glands or endocrine part, then only we are suffering from the hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia. Okay, so then, so another cells are present. So remaining 5%, they are the compromised delta cells and F cells. So delta cells, it can secrete the one hormone that is known as the somatostatin. So already you are familiar with the somatostatin, because the somatostatin is also known as a anti-growth hormone, but it do not cancel the functions of growth hormone. Okay, it is also known as the anti-growth hormone, but it cannot cancel the growth hormone activity, or it cannot be diminishes the growth hormone activity, but it can oppose the beneficial effect of the growth hormone by inhibiting the GIT motility. So as the GIT motility decreases, then there is no digestion is occurs, because in the GIT motility or certain motions are present in GIT. So those motions are helpful for the mixing of the food. So that of with the digestive enzymes, those are secreted from the, that is the liver, or those are secreted from the pancreatic gland, or those are secreted from the intestinal gland. So those are contain rich of enzymes. So those enzymes is mixed with the our food. So due to movement, so those are present in the GIT. So in the GIT, particularly there are two or three movements are present. That is the pendular movements, segmentation movement, and as well as the Perstalis movement. So these three movement, so they are helpful for the mixing of the food. So that are with the digestive enzyme. So due to mixing of food with the digestive enzyme, the digestion is occurs. So due to digestion, the smaller molecular form from polysaccharide into monosaccharide, and larger protein into amino acids, and cholesterol triglyceride into a free fatty acids. So then only amino acids, free fatty acid, glucose or fructose, galactose, so they are enter in the blood due to only the presence of the GIT motility. And here our growth hormone, it can enhance the growth by enhancing the GIT motility. So due to that, it can enhance the digestions of the food and absorptions of the food and propulsions of the food. But here the somatostatin, it can inhibit the GIT motility, and lack of GIT motility, the digestion does not occur, and lack of GIT motility, so that the absorptions of food is does not occurs, it is suffering from, that person can suffering from the constipations. Once again, the constipation can cause the abnormal digestion and absorptions of the food from the GIT. So due to that, the somatostatin, it can inhibit the beneficial effect of the growth hormone. So that's why the somatostatin is known as a anti-growth hormone. And another cell, that is the F cell. So these F cells, so they are involved in secretions of the one hormone. So that is known as the PIP, that is pancreatic polypeptide. So this pancreatic polypeptide, the its first function is it can inhibit the over secretions of the somatostatin. It means it can favor the functions of the growth hormone, or it can favor the digestions of the food in the small intestine. Okay. In another side, the same PIP, it can causes the contractions of the gallbladders. So gallbladder is the another organ present in our body. It can secrete the bile. So that bile is synthesized in the liver and stored in the gallbladder. So when PIP releases, when food is enter in the duodenum from the stomach, then only the F cells, so they can secrete the pancreatic polypeptide. So this pancreatic polypeptide, it can causes the contractions of the gallbladder. So then only the gallbladder, they can releases the bile into the duodenum, and this bile play important role in the metabolism of the fats or lipids in the small intestine. So lack of bile, whatever we are consuming the fat or lipids, so those lipids does not digested or metabolized in the small intestine. So that's why the pancreatic polypeptide is also involved in the regulation or metabolism of the lipid in the small intestine by enhancing the secretions of the bile from the gallbladder. And also the PIP or pancreatic polypeptide, it can give signal to the exocrine part of the pancreatic gland. So those are involved in the secretions of the pancreatic amylase or pancreatic lipase or many other enzymes. So those are involved in the digestions of carbohydrates, protein and fats. So those also their secretion was increases by the release of the that is the pancreatic polypeptide. So that's why the pancreatic polypeptide play important role in the digestions or regulations of digestion in the small intestine. And as well as though this PIP, it is acts as the switch between the alpha cell and beta cells. Okay, so when your blood sugar level is high, so on that time PIP, it can switch off the alpha cells and activate a skew signal to the beta cells. So then only beta cells, it can secrete the insulin. So when our sugar level is due to over secretions of insulin or metabolism of glucose, then gradually the blood sugar level is decreases more than the normal. So on that time the same PIP, it can inhibit the activations of beta cell and activate the alpha cell. Then the alpha cells, it can secrete the glucagon. So like that the PIP, it is acts as the switch between the alpha cell and beta cell. So according to the physiology of the blood, it can assist to the beta cells or alpha cells. So that is the importance of the pancreatic polypeptide. It is secreted from the pancreatic gland or F cells of the pancreatic glands. Okay. So next we can learn regarding the diabetes mellitus. So already you know regarding the diabetes mellitus, it is also written as the DM. So diabetes mellitus is nothing but when the blood sugar level is more than normal. So that condition is known as the diabetes mellitus or uncontrolled. The sugar level in the blood is known as the diabetes mellitus, and normal blood sugar level is a 80 to 120 mg per deciliter. Okay, 80 to 120 mg per deciliter. If the sugar level is more than 120 normally, so that is known as the hyperglycemia. If the sugar level is less than 80, so that condition is known as the hypoglycemia. So regarding the normal sugar level, so when you are fasting without any diabetic patient, so their normal sugar level should be between 70 to 90 mg per deciliter. It indicates if you are measuring your blood sugar level in the conditions of the fasting, fasting means without consumptions of the any water or any kind of food in the morning, you can wake up and directly you can go to the lab where you can give the blood. So there are taken the blood, they can measure the sugar level. So that sugar level should be between 70 to 99 mg per deciliter. If it is that value means it indicates so that person do not have any diabetes mellitus. If it is crosses more than 99, so that indicates that person should be or may be suffering from the diabetes mellitus. And same the fasting blood sugar level in the diabetic patient, it should be remain between 80 to 130 mg per deciliter. It indicates if any person is suffering from the diabetes mellitus, he want to measure the blood sugar level in the fasting condition. So that range should be 80 to 130. If it is more than 130 mg per deciliter in diabetic patient during the fasting, that indicates, so whatever the drug, so that candidate was taken, that cannot be managed the blood sugar level properly, or it indicates improper management of the blood sugar level in the diabetes mellitus, where need to concentrate by you as a pharmacist or doctors to how to control the blood sugar level in the diabetes mellitus by adjusting the dose or increasing the dose or adding up the another drug. So that sugar level should be 80 to 130 mg per deciliter. After meal, that is after eating, that is 1 to 2 hours, in normal patient, so that blood sugar level should be less than 140 mg deciliters. If you're taken any kind of food or breakfast or tea, so then you're going for the measurement of sugar level, then your sugar level should be less than 140 mg per deciliter. If it is crosses, so that indicates, so that person was suffering from the diabetes mellitus. Okay, and same in diabetic patients after food, so where the sugar level should be less than the 180 mg per deciliter. If it is crosses more than 180 in diabetic patients, so after the meal it indicates improper management of the blood sugar level, or whatever the drug or therapy you are given as a pharmacist or doctor, so those drugs are not sufficient to manage the blood sugar level in that patient, so where you can concentrate to change of the drug or to change of the therapy. So another parameters you can monitor the sugar level, or how the sugar level is managed in our body about last 8 to 12 weeks. Okay, it indicates how our blood sugar is level is present in our blood from last 8 to 12 weeks, so that can monitored with the help of the another parameter that is known as the HbA1c. In normal person it should be less than 5.7%. If for monitor HbA1c percent in normal, if should be less than 5.7%, it indicates in your body the blood sugar level is normally, or it can manage very well. It never increases in the last 8 to 12 weeks. It means it can use the blood sugar in our blood about 3 months. So that's why, so this test can be conducted every 3 months in normal, or those having the fear regarding the diabetes mellitus, or some students or some family members having the fear because their parents or their grandfather grandmother they are suffering from the diabetes mellitus, and they are having the anxiety or fear whether I was also suffering from the diabetes mellitus or not. So that can be concluded you should be monitor every 3 months HbA1c. If it is less than 5.7% means you are still free from the diabetes mellitus, then you can work out, you can take the that is the exercise or healthy food, and you are free from the whole life from the diabetes mellitus. If same HbA1c, if the patient is diabetes, if your any parents or grandfathers or your neighbors or your friends or relatives, if they are diabetes mellitus patients, so then once again every 3 months you should be monitor this value. And is the HbA1c there in the diabetic patient, it should be less than 7. If it is less than 7 means it indicates, so whatever they are taken the medications regarding the insulin or oral hypoglycemic agent, they can well manage the blood sugar level. If it is more than 7, it indicates from last 3 months the blood sugar level should be the abnormal, it is not managed properly. Then you can counsel, you don't doubt on the medications. First you counsel the patients what is the habits, because he taken any extra medications or he is the starvations or any other problems, then also the sugar level is more, then the HbA1c is the more than the 7. Or if the all activities are good as per your counseling points, then you can concentrate on the dosing of the drug. Where the drug was fail or that patient was failed to take the medication in the correct time, whatever you can prescribe, that is after the meals. Actually the diabetic medication they are taken the after meals within 30 minutes. So then only they helpful for to manage the blood sugar. So where the patient was fail properly take the medication or he can forget. So where only the poor management of glucose is present. If it is still that is the correct time he can take the medication. So that indicates somewhere we need to add the drug or to increase the dose of the drug. And HbA1c means that is the glycosylated hemoglobins. So RBC having the capacity they can bind with the glucose. Okay, and if the RBC if can bind more to the glucose, then we are suffering from the various kind of the disorder like oxidation, atherosclerosis, or cardiovascular disease. So that's why, so those are diabetic patient, they are improper sugar level management is there. So that patient is suffering from the atherosclerosis or heart failure or kidney failure or many other problems due to only the formations of the glycosylated hemoglobin. So that's why you always every 3 months you can monitor the HbA1c level in the diabetic patient. If it is normal whole life, that candidate only suffering from the diabetes, not suffering from the nephrotoxicity, there is a failure of the kidney or atherosclerosis or hypertension. So here I request you, if your any family member they are suffering from the diabetes mellitus means every 3 months you can monitor HbA1c. It cost should be around 300 to 600 only. Every 3 months you can spend that one. If it is less than 7 means your family member or your patient should be free from the damaging of the organs, or organs are work properly, but still he is the diabetic patient. If it is more than 7, it indicates somewhere the organs are start to malfunction. So there is need to concentrate. Otherwise, in the if it is improper continuously is going on, then the kidney was fails, or that candidate is suffering from the congestive heart failure due to atherosclerosis, or even that candidate is suffering from the coma or brain failure due to coma, because these glycosylated hemoglobin are RBC containing glucose. It cannot be transferred the oxygen. Only when it is free from the glucose, then only RBC or that hemoglobin it can transport the oxygen. When it is bind with the more glucose, due to more glucose present in the blood, then it can fail to transfer the oxygen to the different organ. So then the organ is suffering from the deficiency of oxygen. That organ was failed. So that's why you can properly manage the sugar level in blood with the help of the HbA1c test. So that should be less than 7 in the diabetic patient. In the normal person, so that should be less than the 5.7. If it is more than that, it indicates our RBC are malfunction. Then we are suffering from the oxidation process or generations of the free radicals in our body. Already you are learned in the pathophysiology. That is the role of the free radical. They can cause the inflammation, they can cause the atherosclerosis, they can cause the myocardial infarction. So they can cause the malfunctions of the mitochondria. So due to that, that candidate was suffering from the aging. In the early age, he is suffering from the old. He look like a old due to improper management of the glucose in our blood. So that can monitor. So with the help of the HbA1c. And dear students, so here the diabetes mellitus. So they are mainly classified into 4 types. Pre-diabetes. It means that candidate do not suffering from the diabetes mellitus. He do not have any family history, but his sugar level is more than 120 normally, or more than, so this range. So that condition is known as the pre-diabetes. Here only simple by consuming of the multivitamin containing zinc, it is helpful for to reverse the pre-diabetes. So that's why, so those are ideal doctors are there, they are MBBS doctors are there. The first time when they diagnose the diabetic conditions, so they are administer the Ginkgo or they administer the multivitamins along with the zinc. It can correct the functions of the beta cells, that is the zinc. So that's why water sugar level is increases, so that can be reversed, so that can be controlled. So that's why the pre-diabetic conditions in the patient, so that can be reversed with the help of the proper diet or healthy diet. So unnecessarily you do not worry when your first time your blood sugar level is more than normal, then on that time you do not have any family history regarding diabetes mellitus. First 1 month or 3 months you can take the multivitamin or ginkgo wheat syrup. It contains the zinc. It automatically it can reverse the functions of the insulin. If still after 3 months also the sugar level is more than normal, so that indicates only that candidate was suffering from the diabetes mellitus. And other type, that is the type 1, that is also known as the type 1 diabetes mellitus or IDDM, that is insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So worldwide around 15% of the, or around 15 to 20% of the population, they are suffering from the type 1, and remaining they are suffering from the type 2. In the type 1 it occurs due to destructions of the beta cells. So due to oxidation or due to entry of free radicals in the pancreatic gland, so they can destruct the beta cells. So due to destructions of beta cells, the beta cells was failed to release the insulin. On that time there is a sugar level should be the improper management. So that condition is known as the type 1 diabetes mellitus or IDDM. And it is also causes due to autoimmune diseases or autoimmune antigen antibody reaction. They also causes the destructions of the beta cells or entry of the viruses. So viruses is also, they can causes the diabetes mellitus, especially they destructing the beta cells. And even the entry of the environmental toxins. So when you are working in the polluted area or industrial area, so where the air pollution is more, so those air pollution, they can causes the entry of the free radicals in our body, so they can causes the destructions of beta cells. So due to that we are suffering from diabetes mellitus, that is known as the type 1 diabetes mellitus. And regarding type 2, so remaining more than 80% of the population, they are suffering from the type 2 diabetes mellitus. And type 1 diabetes mellitus, it can occur in any age, just birth child, that can suffering from the diabetes mellitus, that is the type 1. But type 2 it can causes after 35 years age. Okay, after 35 years or 40 years in the adult only, the type 2 diabetes mellitus can be causes. So type 2, in which the beta cells are not malfunctions, beta cells still they secrete the insulin, but that insulin was failed to bind on the insulin receptor. So those are present on the liver cells or those are present on the other muscle cells. So due to lack of binding on the insulin receptor by insulin, so that can causes the malfunction, or it cannot be regulate the glucose level in our body. So due to that the blood sugar levels increases. So that type of diabetes mellitus is known as the type 2 diabetes mellitus. And as well as the genetic factor is also responsible for to cause of the type 2. And even aging or uncontrolled body weight, that is obesity, or due to any peripheral insulin resistance, that can responsible for to cause of the type 2 diabetes mellitus. And regarding the fourth type, that is known as the gestational diabetes, so it is occurs during the pregnancy, the blood sugar level is increases in the pregnant woman. So that type of diabetes mellitus is known as the gestational diabetes mellitus. If it is not managed during the pregnancy or after labor, then it can become the type 2. If were you can manage with the help of the multivitamin, that is once again ginkgo wheat or any other syrup that contain the multivitamin along with the zinc, so that gestational diabetes it cannot responsible for to cause of the main diabetes mellitus. So that's why, so whatever your neighbors or family members are there, if they are pregnant, you should be advised to them, their candidate can should be take the multivitamin, so that should containing the zinc or whatever the medication that can administered by the doctors, so that should be taken properly. Otherwise, so that gestational diabetes it is responsible for to cause of the type 2 diabetes mellitus. And type 1 it is treated with the help of the insulin because it causes due to deficiency of insulin. And type 2 it not causes due to deficiency of insulin, due to inability of insulin bind and the insulin receptor. So that's why they are treated with the help of the certain medications. So those medications are known as the oral hypoglycemic agents. Okay. Anyone? Dear students, so in the last class we already discussed regarding the that is anatomy and physiology of the pancreatic glands, then regarding various type of cells and hormones, so they are secreted from the pancreatic glands, and today we learn regarding the pharmacology of insulin. So dear students, the insulin was discovered by two scientists, that is Banting and Best in the year 1921. So insulin, it is a polypeptide hormone. It means it is made up of the proteins. So insulin mainly containing the 51 amino acids and its molecular weight is 6000. So insulin is made up of two polymer chains or polypeptide chain, that is the chain A, it consists of 21 amino acids, and chain B, it can consist of the 30 amino acids, and both polypeptide chain, they are interconnected with the help of the two disulfide bond. So the first bond, it is present at the site of the positions of the amino acid 7 in the chain A, that is the cysteine, and 7th amino acids in the chain B, that is the once again cysteine. That is the, it can form the peptide bond at the 7th amino acid in the both chain, that is the cysteine. That is the first disulfide bond, and second disulfide bond, it is formed between the 20th amino acids of the chain A, that is the cysteine, and as well as 90th amino acids of the chain B, that is the once again cysteine. Between 20th amino acids cysteine in the chain A and 19th amino acid in the chain B, once again it can form the one disulfide bond, it is the second disulfide bond. So like that, the insulin, it can made up of the two polypeptide chain, they are bind with the two disulfide bond at the positions of 7th and at the positions of the 20th oblique 19th amino acids, and both cases the bond is formed between the 16 amino acids. So dear students, these scientists, so they can discover the insulin from, or they can isolate the insulin from the protein, then bovine and human, that is the also known as the pork human. So these are the one type of special animals, from their liver the insulin can be isolated. So dear students, the insulin is mainly categorized into four types, that is the ultra short acting, example is insulin lispro, insulin aspart, insulin glucosine. Then short acting, example is a regular insulin, then intermediate acting insulin, example is a insulin NPH, then long acting insulin, example is a insulin glargine, and ultra lenate insulin and insulins dentimers. So long acting insulin, the durations of their action is more than 24 hours. Then regarding ultra short acting, their action is 3 to 5 hours. So that's why the ultra short acting, so they can use the combination with the other type of the insulin derivatives. Okay. Then is short acting, so their duration of action is 4 to 24 hours, and intermediate acting, their duration of action is 14 to 24. Regarding the onset of action, the ultra short acting, their action can be occurs within 12 to 30 minutes, while short acting, they can show the hypoglycemic effect within or after 30 minutes. Then intermediate acting, they can take to show the action in 1 to 2 hours, and long acting, they can show their action 3 to 4 hours. So that's why the ultra short acting insulin, they are used along with the long acting. Initially they can control sugar level, and for prolonged time the long acting, they can control the our blood sugar level. So like that, the insulin, they are mainly categorized into four types, that ultra short acting, intermediate acting and long acting, on the basis of the duration of the actions. So now we learn regarding the how the insulin was secreted. So dear students, the insulin secretion is mainly depending upon the
blood sugar levels. So as the sugar level is decreases, the insulin does not secreted. So as the sugar level is increases, then automatically the insulin is secreted. So that's why the secretions of the insulin from the pancreatic gland or beta cell, that is mainly depending upon the blood sugar level. So in case of increased blood sugar level, so that glucose through the blood they can enter in the beta cells through a special channels, and those channels are known as the GLUT2 channels. So these GLUT2 channels are nothing but glucose transporter channels or pores. So they are mainly present on the beta cells, so they can allow the entry of the glucose from blood into the inside the beta cells, and further from here the glucose it can enter into the mitochondria. So already you have learned in the biochemistry, so mitochondria is the site for the glycolysis, because so during the glycolysis the starting or the beginning enzyme is a hexokinase, or it is also the glucokinase. It is only found in the mitochondria. So lack of that enzyme, the glucose cannot be metabolized. So here in the beta cytoplasm beta cell, so that glucose enter in the mitochondria where glucokinase enzyme is present. It can metabolize the glucose or it can phosphorylate the glucose. So due to phosphorylations of the glucose, it can produces the ATP. So as the ATP production increases, it can causes the blockage of the potassium channel on the beta cells. So these potassium channel, so they are ATP sensitive. So as the ATP decreases, then potassium channel was opens. So as the ATP is increases, the potassium channel was blocks. And these channels, so these are the high voltage ATP dependent potassium channels. So due to increase of the more ATP only, so these channels was blocked. By blocking of the potassium channel, the positive environment was developed inside the beta cells. So that condition is known as the depolarizations. So this depolarization, it can causes the influx of the calcium from extracellular fluid into the intracellular fluid or inside the beta cell, and as well as it can causes the release of calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulums. So sarcoplasmic reticulums are the organelles of the each and every cell. So they acts as the stores for the calcium. So when cell is required calcium for to show the action, on that time only the calcium can be released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. And this release calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum, it is mainly depending upon the depolarization. So as the depolarization increases, then only the sarcoplasmic reticulum they can release the calcium. And due to release of calcium or influx of calcium, it can cause the accumulations of the calcium inside the beta cell, that can cause the exocytosis. And exocytosis is it is the process, it is responsible for release of the insulin from the beta cells. So dear students, so whatever the insulin is released from the beta cells, it is known as the proinsulin. Proinsulin. So this insulin, it can consist of the 110 amino acids. Okay, it is containing 110 amino acids. So later on it can substitute to the clavase or oxidation, then only the 81 amino acids are remain. So that insulin is known as the proinsulin. So later on, so this insulin is packed in the Golgi apparatus. So that's why it can enter in the Golgi apparatus. So where the Golgi apparatus can contain the lysosomal enzyme, it can subject the further cleavage of the C terminal of the proinsulin, and it can loses the further some amino acids, and finally it can consist of only 51 amino acid. It is the actual insulin. So this insulin, it can act on the various insulin receptors. So those are present on the liver cell, adipose cells as well as the muscle cells, and helpful for to enhance the metabolism of the glucose. So like that, the beta cells is responsible for the release of the insulin. Okay, so next we learn regarding the pharmacological actions of insulin. So insulins it's play important role in the carbohydrate metabolisms. So here the insulin it can always decrease the blood sugar level by acting on the muscle cells or adipose cells and other tissues. So where it can bind on the insulin receptor and enhance the opening of the GLUT4 receptors. So this is the another glucose transporter channels. So those are present in the cells of the muscles, cells of the liver, cells of the adipose and cells of the other tissues. So when insulin bind on the insulin receptor, it can activate the GLUT4 channels. So due to that, the more glucose enter inside the cells of the muscle, adipose and other tissues. So where it can undergo the glycolysis, and due to glycolysis the glucose level was gradually decreases from the blood. So like that insulin it can enhance the uptake of the glucose by a various types of the cells by acting on the insulin receptor or activating of the GLUT4 transporter or GLUT4 channels. And insulin it also stimulate the formations of glycogen from the excess of glucose in a liver. It means the insulin it can store the excess of glucose in the form of glycogen in the liver, okay, by enhancing the glycogen synthetase enzyme. So this enzyme it can utilize the glucose and involved in the synthesis of the glycogen. So here dear students, the glycogen can form the liver up to only 5% of the total weight of the liver. Okay, after that if the weight is exceed more the glycogen weight more than 5, then it can stop the synthesis of the glycogen from the glucose. Okay, so next is the, so insulin also regulate the lipid metabolism. So insulin mainly promote the synthesis of the fatty acids in the liver. Okay, so when the glycogen weight in the liver it exceed 5% total weight of the liver means, so on that time insulin stop the synthesis of glycogen, and instead of synthesis of glycogen it can stimulate the formations of the fatty acids from the glucose, it only in the liver. So when the glycogen level is or weight it is more than 5% of the total weight of the liver, so then so that fatty acids are known as the lipoprotein. So these are released into the blood then enter into the adipose tissues, so where they are involved in the formations of the triglyceride. So like that insulin it can enhance the formations of the triglycerides. So dear students, so insulin it can also inhibit the breakdown of fat in the adipose tissues. Okay, it can break down the breakdown of the triglyceride into fatty acids. So due to that it can inhibit the breakdown of triglycerides, so it can produce the depositions of the fat in the tissues. So due to that the person is suffering from the weight gain or obese. So dear students, so those are on the therapy of insulin, they gradually they can got the body weight or gradually day by day, so their body weight is increases because of the this mechanism. So on another side it can enhance the formations of triglyceride, and in second side it can inhibit the metabolism of the triglycerides. So due to that the fat can accumulated in the adipose tissues or muscle, then the weight gain can be occurs during the therapy of the insulin. So insulin it can also stimulate the uptake of the amino acids. So as the amino acids uptake is increases, then where it increases where the protein synthesis occurs. So that action is known as the anabolic actions. It means the insulin is also enhance the protein synthesis by enhancing the uptake of the amino acids by a various type of the cells. The insulin also increases the permeability of potassium, magnesium and phosphate. So next regarding ADR. So insulin, it mainly causes the hypoglycemia, that is sugar level decreases more than the normal. It is one of the common ADR during the insulin therapy. And regarding the symptoms of hypoglycemia, initially the headache is occurs because the deficiency of the glucose to the brain, the headache is present. And anxiety is occurs, that is the fear, vertigo, diaphoresis, tachycardia, confusion, shaking movement of the body, increased appetite, blurred vision and weakness. So these all are the sign and symptoms of the hypoglycemia, or our blood sugar level is decreases more than the normal. Initial symptoms, that is the confusion, headache or blurred visions and weakness, fatigue occurs. If it is occur means it is indicate we are suffering from the hypoglycemia or low blood sugar. So on that time, so dear students, you should be give the, that is sweet. If you are giving instead of sweet, if you are giving the water, if the patient is loss of conscious, then that water is acts as a poison, because the water further it can dilute the blood. So due to dilutions of the more blood, the hypoglycemia is increases, or it can produce the hypoglycemic coma or death. So that's why I requested to all you, when the hypoglycemia occurs, first you can counsel the patient or ask to the neighbors whether it is a he is a diabetic patient or not. If he is a diabetic patient, then ask to them whether they are taken medications or not. Or directly you can give the sweet, or you can give the tea that can containing the glucose. So that is helpful for to overcome the hypoglycemia. Otherwise, if you are given the water means the death is occur due to more dilutions of the blood. Then another area of insulin is the ketoacidosis, because one side insulin it can cause the hypoglycemia. So during the hypoglycemia, the ATP deficiency in the muscle cells is occurs. So on that time body it can get the energy ATP from the creatinine or from the ketone bodies. So during insulin therapy, the productions of the ketones is increases, the productions of creatinine is increases due to hypoglycemia. So that's why the candidate was suffering from the ketoacidosis. So due to ketoacidosis, he is suffering from the atherosclerosis or nephrotoxicity or neuropathy. So that's why, so those are on the therapy of insulin. You can always monitor their blood sugar level. It should be beyond the normals, or that problem can be overcome by using the metered insulin instruments. So those certain instruments are available in the market. Those are the metered insulin deliverer. So they can deliver the insulin by continuously monitoring the blood sugar level. Then how much sugar level is increases, that amount only automatically they can inject the insulin. So that is helpful for to avoid the ketoacidosis and as well as the hypoglycemic coma. So insulin, it can also causes the local reactions at the site of the injection, that is known as the lipodystrophy. Nothing but due to accumulations of the lipid, the muscles was swelled or the size was increases. Due to dystrophy, the muscles was fail at the site of the injection, because the insulin it can enhance the triglyceride synthesis and inhibit the breakdown of the triglyceride, or the lipid can be accumulated in the particular site. So to accumulations the dystrophies occurs or lipodystrophies occurs. So regarding the uses, the insulin is mainly used for the treatment of the type 1 diabetes mellitus, and as well as it is helpful for to control the uncontrolled sugar level in the type 2 diabetes mellitus. So that's why commonly it is used in the treatment of the type 1, that is insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. But in the case of non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, if the sugar is not controlled on certain conditions or that condition, so the doctors or physician they can use the insulin. Once the sugar level is normalized, after that they can use the oral hypoglycemic agent. So like that the insulin is helpful for the regulations of the blood sugar levels. So one point you should be remember, the insulin is always causes the hypoglycemia. So that's why you should be the conscious, or you can use the metered delivered insulin instruments. So to the injections of the insulins. Thank you dear students.